Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. Mountain. And today I'm going to answer a question that was asked in the comment section, and I'm going to give at least my opinion about it on what I have seen over the years based on the results that I've gotten and the results that other people around me have gotten from training. So somebody asked me specifically about the bro split and why do natural bodybuilders seem to respond differently than the drug bodybuilders, besides the obvious, meaning that the drug bodybuilders tend to use bro splits in their training more so than the natural bodybuilders that in a lot of cases generally tend towards the higher frequency, lower volume approach, or moderate volumes anyway. I mean, there are naturals that do respond to bro splits, but as a whole, most of you guys can agree that usually the drug guys, the guys that are, 500 pounds and 2'4", these guys usually tend towards a leg day and then maybe a back day and maybe a chest day separately, or at least a lot of them anyway, especially back in the day when I was reading a lot of magazines and stuff. That was usually what they were doing, is at least a 3-day split, if not a 4-day split in a lot of cases. And a lot of times you see a lot of the guys training now, a lot of them are, doing some sort of bro split. I haven't seen too often. I can't even remember actually of any of them that do a full body workout 4 or 5 times a week, or a 2-day split scenario where they train the whole body in 2 days and so forth. So this guy's question is, why is that? Why is that happening? Well, my theories on this are my own, of course, but you're gonna see that there is some logic involved. Now, what I've always said is with natural bodybuilding, your training and your diet and your sleep are what's responsible for your hormonal responses to the stimulation that you're giving the body, right? So the stimulation and hormonal response are directly linked, right? So what you eat, right, is very important. How you sleep, your stress levels, and your training. Now, when it comes down to the drug bodybuilder guys, right, not only are they increasing their ability to adapt because they're putting in the hormonal response naturally before any sort of exercise has been done, but they are also creating the environment itself in which creates an anabolic response, right? So that's why guys who aren't natural, that are on some sort of performance enhancing drug, can sit on the couch and still gain some muscle. Not idealistic amounts of muscle, but the fact is that their body is still able to put on some sort of muscle regardless of whether they train or not. So what's happening is that they're creating an anabolic response in the body based on hormones that they're putting into their system externally. So because of that, now they have a greater ability also to adapt to higher amounts of muscular and tissue damage. So with that extra blood that they have in the system, right, they increase the amount of blood. They're producing a lot of blood. That's why a lot of drug guys, they walk around with a perpetual pump. Like the pump never leaves them, right? It's because their blood volume increases as well. And of course, the transport of nutrients increases. And because of this, they're not quite so dependent on the training system itself to create a hormonal or endocrine response in the system. That's not their weak link. Their weak link is the muscle repairing, and are they breaking it down enough so that the repair cycle happens fast enough? Now, I'm sure there are a lot of other factors involved in this, but that is one of the main things I've seen with guys over the years. Like when I was working in the bars, there'd always be some guy that was on juice or something like that, and I'd watch him. And a lot of times this guy would go on something and he'd still be able to get drunk Friday, Saturday, Sunday, eat some garbage, then get back on the diet and go to the gym on Monday, and he'd make me look like shit, training nonstop naturally for 5 years, and then this guy all of a sudden was getting veins in his chest and all these different types of striations and whatever. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Well, his hormonal environment was taken hostage basically by what he was putting in his system, so therefore he was getting these results. So the bro split, is it better for these bigger bodybuilders? I don't know, maybe one could argue that because they have a capacity to heal from such large amounts of muscular damage, that they can gain more muscle if they do these really large sessions of just breaking down that muscle tissue. For myself, as a natural bodybuilder, I find that if I wait too long in between training a muscle group, what happens is I not only lose the blood volume in the area and the coordination, but I also lose the anabolic response in the body in that area. So it's like the body says, well, I don't really need to be big and strong in that area, so I'm going to turn off the hormonal response in Jason's system because he's not training enough. So this is kind of what goes on with natural bodybuilders, which is why I talk about using heavy lifts with the whole body if you can, safely of course, like Romanian deadlifts, squats, bent over rows, these sorts of things, because there's this hormonal response that happens that also dictates whether you're going to grow muscle or not. It's not just about lifting light weights and pumping, like once again, you see a lot of the drug guys do. Natural bodybuilders tend to not be able to get away with that, at least not exclusively in most cases. Most of the time they have to train heavy, they have to eat a certain way, they have to sleep a certain way in order for the hormones to be working properly in the system, because they're responsible for their own hormone production. They're not externally putting it in. So this also goes in alignment with the exercises they choose. If they're using heavier exercises, then that's also going to send certain signals to the body. And how often you do this and how frequently is also going to play a role. And of course, the opposite is true. If you stimulate too much, then your cortisol goes up, which is the stress hormone, which breaks down tissue and may work against you. So once again, a natural bodybuilder has to manage their volume. And I'm not saying there can't be deviations. You might be able to do higher volume than, say, somebody else, but there's going to be a limit based on your own individual system. It's not going to be overridden by some external source like you see with the drug bodybuilder guys. So these are a few reasons why that guys that are hormonally enhanced and guys that are natural tend to train differently. There's a lot of similarities, but there's some differences. Mountain. So I hope this answers your question. If you like talking about stuff like this or whatever, make sure you guys tune into the Patreon podcast. The link is in the description. And if you need to get hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. And thanks a lot to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. Mountain. Natural Gallant.